Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, three nations in the heart of the Sahel, are teaming up with Russia to launch their own satellite. Yes, you heard that right, satellite. We're talking about beaming internet across vast deserts and watching every inch of their borders from the space. For a region often in the headlines for conflict and connectivity issues, this sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. But it's real. The deal was actually sealed last September in Bamako, and training for local experts is already underway. Now, some folks are worried about new ties with Russia, but others see this as a huge step towards technological independence. In this episode, we are breaking down everything you need to know about this project. First, how did this satellite dream even begin for the Alliance of Sahel States? Second, why did Russia jump at the chance to become Sahel's new tech partner? And finally, what could this game-changing project mean for security, internet access, and Pan-African pride? Get ready, because the Sahel is reaching for the stars, and the ripple effects are already being felt across the continent. Just a couple of years ago, the news from Ouagadougou, Bamako, and Niamey was mostly about military shifts and security challenges. But behind the scenes, the leaders of these nations, who formed the Alliance of Sahel States, or AES, were eyeing a different kind of battlefield. The sky. Think about it. Satellite imagery, weather data, border surveillance. It's always been controlled by outside powers, whether it's French drones or US bases. The AES leaders ask a simple question. Why keep renting eyes in the sky when we could own them? This is where Glavkosmos, the commercial arm of Russia's space agency, Roscosmos, steps in. They were looking for new markets, especially with Western sanctions, making things tough. After a series of meetings, both sides signed a deal in September 2024 for two multipurpose satellites, one for Earth observation and another for broadband internet. The AES ministers hailed this as sovereignty in orbit, emphasizing that local technicians will be trained to manage ground stations and analyze data. For people tired of conflict and constant internet blackouts, this promise of self-reliance felt like a dream come true. While the idea of universal internet access is exciting, the first big win for this satellite is actually about security. We know how easily extremist groups can move across the Sahel's vast open borders. High-resolution cameras and possibly even a special radar could spot this movement day or night, rain or shine. Military experts envision getting real-time alerts sent straight to units on the ground, potentially stopping attacks before they even happen. And here's a crucial point. The telecom satellite will create encrypted channels, linking scattered military bases into one secure network. This means it will be immune to insurgents cutting fiber optic cables. Of course, some worry Russia might have access to this data, but for the AES government, gaining an edge in security outweighs those fears. As Mali's finance minister, Alosi Sano, wisely put it, border control begins 36,000 kilometers above the ground. Security is a game changer, but wait until you hear how this universal connectivity could transform daily life in the Sahel. Picture this, a remote classroom in northern Burkina Faso where getting clean water is a struggle, let alone internet access. The new satellite aims to change all of that. Imagine clinics in villages using V-site terminals on their roofs to stream telemedicine sections with doctors in big cities like Ouagadougou. Farmers could download real-time rainfall forecast instead of just guessing. Radio and TV signals will broadcast local programming, helping counter extremist propaganda and connect communities across vast distances. Traditional telecom companies often skip these remote areas because they are not seen as profitable, but a state-backed satellite changes that whole equation. Governments are planning community digital kiosks powered by solar panels, giving every village its own Wi-Fi. Some critics are skeptical about the 4-year timeline, but supporters argue that even a slow rollout is better than another decade of isolation. While connectivity will definitely spark growth, let's see how Earth-watching satellites can protect that growth. Beyond security, the remote sensing satellite will be a powerful tool for monitoring natural resources and the environment. Take Burkina Faso's gold fields, for example, often targeted by illegal miners. This satellite could track them in near real time for the first time ever. Farmers could get alerts about local swarms before they spread, and disaster agencies could predict flash flood along the Niger River, helping communities evacuate safely. Crucially, climate data, which was once purchased from Europe, will now flow directly to Sahelan labs, helping a new generation of local scientists. There's even a talk of selling imagery to neighboring countries, turning surveillance into a source of revenue. But let's be real, satellite alone can't irrigate fields. The real impact depends on strong follow-through on the ground. While resource mapping is exciting, you won't believe how this deal is reshaping global power dynamics. For decades, France saw itself as the primary security partner in the Sahel. Now, it's Russian advisors, not French soldiers, standing alongside Sahelan leaders. By delivering this high-tech space project, Russia is gaining significant influence and securing future maintenance contracts. Western diplomats are understandably concerned about the details of this data-sharing agreement. Even China is watching closely, knowing that its own satellite projects are competing for influence in Africa. However, the Sahelian leaders are firm. Sovereignty means choosing their partners freely. If Russia doesn't deliver, they've shown they can pivot. You can already see Starlink dishes popping up in Niger as a bargaining chip. The symbolism is clear. A region once firmly in a colonial sphere is now looking east, navigating a new multipolar world. While geopolitics is exciting, let's meet the people who are actually being trained to make this space age a reality. A quiet revolution is happening in the technical colleges in Burkina Faso. Thanks to this deal, scholarships are sending young engineers to Russia for intensive courses in everything from how satellites move to analyzing image data with Python. Back home, university labs that were once starved of equipment are now receiving small satellite models and 3D printers. Governments are even talking about creating a joint AES Space Institute, bringing together experts and setting up internships for future ground stations. For many students, this is more than just a job. It's a powerful validation that world-class science is happening right here in Africa. Of course, there's always the risk of brain drain, where top graduates leave for opportunities abroad. But officials are promising competitive salaries and a strong sense of national pride to keep talent at home. While classrooms are buzzing with hope, let's talk about the real risks that could still ground this incredible dream. Launching satellites isn't cheap, and there are always risks. Delays or new sanctions could easily triple costs overnight. If extremist groups attack proposed ground station sites, data flow could be disrupted, and depending heavily on Russian spare parts could simply swap one form of dependency for another. If the technology doesn't deliver on its promises, public trust in these new leaders could suffer. However, the potential upside is truly transformative. A sovereign data stream, a digital lifeline for remote communities, and a rare example of African state dictating terms, not just accepting what's left over. Ultimately, the success of this project will come down to good governance, keeping budget transparent, sharing data widely, and measuring real impact beyond just press conferences. If this project takes flight, it could inspire a continental trend. Pan-African satellite constellations lighting up bandwidth desert from Timbuktu to Tanzania. But if this fails, it will fuel those who say the Sahel is where big ideas go to die. For now, all eyes, both human and soon mechanical, are fixed on the launch pad. This is Frontline Africa. If you value truth unfiltered and power reframed from an African perspective, subscribe, like and drop your thoughts in the comments. I am Ezekiel Enegeta. See you in the next one.